Ladies and gentlemen, check out this video of Avi Yemini confronting the Islamist himself, Mohamed Hijab, and absolutely destroys him in this debate. Check it out.
The kipper.
Jews are inside, no.
Brother, sorry,
you pretending.
my friend, let him answer. Let him answer for. Okay, sorry, let him answer for himself. Okay, I've asked him a question. So, because when I speak to,
I'm proud of my culture.
Excellent.
Don't believe in God.
All right, so you're a Jewish person by no, you're a Jew by.
I respect everybody's right to believe in whatever fairy tale, as long as your fairy tale doesn't tell you to kill me.
No problem. So okay, I haven't got a problem with that. Now I know where you are in terms of morality. So in terms of objective morality, we can't say that you have a definite set of moral principles that you adhere to, or do you?
Western Judeo-Christian values, yeah.
Okay, so do you accept, for example, the Old Testament as divinely inspired, or?
Our values as Western civilization is founded on the Old Testament. So, in one way or another, I do, but there are parts of it that I find abhorrent.
So I'm not sure what your particular stance is. What I've seen you in conjunction with Tommy Robinson. That's how I got to know who you were. I saw you kind of doing like a rally.
I saw you with Tommy as well. You bashed a cop or something, yeah?
No, I didn't bash a cop. You can go back to the footage. It's on a public record. But here's what I'll say to you is that, so I saw you in conjunction with that. And what it seems, I'm not sure. You can obviously...
He's a petty fuck. He's a smug fuck. This guy, Avi Yemini, I love him. He has massive balls. This guy probably has the biggest Jew balls of anybody that is Jewish. I mean, this guy confronts anybody and everybody. He has no problem going up to this massive guy, Mohamed Hijab, and being like, taunting him.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It seems to me that your position is it anti-Islam?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Can I ask you? I'm not sure. And once again, I'm just asking you, right?
It's 100% clear. 2 steps this way.
2 steps forward. Okay, no problem. Yes. So I was going to ask you then. No problem. If your position is anti-Islam, that's not a problem. I mean, by definition, if you're something other than Muslim, you're going to disagree with parts of Islam. Can I ask you specifically, what do you find repugnant about Islam that you feel like you need to
Let's start with the anti-Semitism.
Okay, go ahead. So tell me what in particular you think.
Are you denying that Islam is anti-Semitic?
Well, the thing is, you'd have to look at the Prophet.
And don't
Can I ask you a question?
Semitic, I don't mean...
I mean Jewish,
yeah.
Well, Moses is a Semite, yes?
I know, Jew hatred, all right?
Okay, does the Quran declare hatred for Moses?
Your Moses in the Quran is not the same as the Jewish Moses.
No problem, but he was a Bani Israel, he was a Jew, yeah?
What about today's Jews?
No, hold on, are you with me? So is the Quran, because Moses for us is the most commonly repeated, oft-repeated prophet in the whole of the Quran. He's repeated in over 70 passages.
And Muhammad also said he was a Jewish prophet.
Yes. Who the Jew that Moses was, yeah?
No. But Muhammad in the beginning was claiming he was a Jewish prophet to try to get the Jews on to convert.
No problem. But was he represented? Do you reckon that the depiction of Moses in the Quran is an anti-Semitic one?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. So then, to answer your question, then by extension, I'll say if one of the heroes of Islam is a Jew, and not just one,
but but your version of Moses is not the Islam, not the Jewish version.
I'm with you, but I'm just asking. I'm just answering your question, right? If we're looking at all of
the Quran also says very lovely things about Jews, but the law of abrogation tells us that in the beginning he liked the Jews. Later, when he realized
who's he?
Your prophet.
Okay, well, tell me where it says that in the beginning he liked the Jews and later he didn't.
If you look at the historically, but the fact is...
By the way, do you know the law of abrogation? Sorry to cut you off. There's a verse, which is in chapter 2, verse 106 of the Quran. It only applies to ahkam, which are rulings. It does not apply to akhbar, which are narratives. So here, what you've talked about abrogation, which is something people who don't know much about Islam, I'm not trying to say specifically you, use all the time. The law of abrogation only applies to legal rulings. It cannot apply. There cannot be a narrative that abrogates another narrative.
Legal rulings are pretty much fundamental to the religion.
But you're
because
talking.
it's based
Let's
on
not
the
move.
idea that
Let's
Sharia.
no problem. Let's.
Can I stop you one second?
No, but I'm,
One second. Can Christians be anti?
Listen, I don't think Jews should be allowed to talk.
No, there's a quick question. You can just answer this.
Well,
Quick
that's
question.
that's
Do you think-
it's a similar view to Timothy in the Bible, where it says that women are not allowed to talk in the church. But what I was going to say
But
to you
can
was,
Christians be anti-Semitic? Because you were saying Muhammad could be anti-Semitic.
I didn't say this.
No, but I'm asking, can Christians be anti-Semitic?
everyone has the propensity to be
No,
anti-Semitic.
but
So do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look, let's keep this going. What I was going to say, the Quran says something really interesting about Jewish people. Okay, I'll tell you exactly what the Quran says in summary.
It's not that interesting.
No.
You're focusing on the boring part, the parts that don't bother
That's
us.
subjective. Well, you've asked me a question which is scriptural in nature, and I'm giving you the answer.
Exactly correct. Those are the parts that don't bother us, the parts that talk about how Jews are great. That's fine. We don't care. You know, you want to talk about us all day, that's fine. As long as you don't say that you want to kill us, we're 100% okay with whatever book you want to read.
Yeah. The Quran, it says, Min Ahlil Kitab, in chapter 3, verse 75, that there are those of the Jews and the Christians that you can trust them, and there are those who you can't trust them. In another verse in the same surah, it says, Laysu sawa'a, they're not all the same. That was the one verse before it. So in other words, the Quran's attitude towards Jews and Christians seems to be in line with its attitude towards Muslims, because in the Quran, chapter 35 of the Quran, it says, Minhum dhalimun li nafsihi, wa minhum muqtasid, wa minhum sabiqun bil khayrat. That's, I'll hold on for you, no problem. So just to keep going, the Quran says that there are some Muslims who are oppressive to themselves. And
I just want to cut off here. Mohamed Hijab is completely lying here, because in multiple interviews online, you can find them, he says simply, fight Jews and Christians wherever you find them. He says that. He says, fight the disbelievers wherever you find them. So he's going against his words here. And maybe this is an older interview, but at the end of the day, now he's completely on the side of the Islamists.
some of them which are on the middle path, and those who excel. Likewise, the Quran says about the Jews and Christians, they're not all the same. There are some good of them and there are some bad of them. Likewise, the Quran makes that has that sentiment to all of humankind. That humankind, you find good people, and you find trustworthy, and you find untrustworthy. So I think if we're talking about the Quran, what we need to do is we need to look at the text. I mean, it's easy to say, well, Muslims believe in this and I would agree with you, Avi, right? If you said to me, look, Muslims are anti-Semitic, I would say to you, some of the Muslims are anti-Semitic.
No, let's be honest.
Yes.
The majority. You've been on any Muslim forum online.
No, hold on. He might be right. It depends on the location. I'm from Egypt, okay? In Egypt, I would say anti-Semitism is the default position. If you're not anti-Semitic in Egypt, it's irregular. Whether you're a nationalist or an
Why
Islamist.
is that?
It's because
Oh, he admitted it. He admitted it. He can't take that back. It's the default position for Egyptians to be anti-Semitic. Why do you think that is? Could it be potentially because a lot of the people in Egypt, or a majority of the people in Egypt, are Muslim? Maybe, possibly.
I will tell you. Hold on, let me answer your question.
I can't wait for you to say
Yes,
the
yes.
Z word.
No, it's not Zionism. I'm not saying that. It's because of the wars that ensued.
Should have been the Rothschild.
1967, 1973. These wars heightened the anti-Semitism. But then, on the flip side, the peace.
The wars heighten the anti-Semitism. Why do you think the war started? Why do you think they said, let's get rid of the Jews in 1948? Was that just because they loved Jews and they didn't want them in the Middle East? They wanted them to flourish elsewhere? No. The second the Jews came to Israel, they wanted to wipe them out. Why do you think the war in 1948 started? Because of anti-Semitism.
That's like the Brexit. It's called sore losers.
No problem. But no problem. I don't disagree with history, right? History is something which is there. But what I'm saying to you is that on the flip side,
You do disagree with history, because when it comes to Israel, I've seen you.
let's not convolute the discussion.
No, but you made a pretty
Go ahead, Avi, yes.
strong statement that you don't disagree with history, but you actually do fundamentally disagree. with
Okay, well
history.
maybe you're right. Maybe it's because of my compounded ignorance of history. You could illuminate and educate and edify. No problem. But what I'm saying to you is this, Avi, we have to stick to the topic. You started off by talking about anti-Semitism in the scriptures, right?
Yep.
We talked about verses of the Quran which explicitly mention good things about Jewish people. I'll tell you some that don't, because I want to be balanced here. I don't want to be unbalanced. It talks about this Jewish scholarly class in chapter 62 of the Quran. Himar yahmilu asfara, donkeys that have that have scriptures on their backs. What does this mean? The Quran makes a criticism about Jewish scholars that they have a lot of they have a lot of knowledge. It says they have a lot of knowledge, but that they don't implement that knowledge. And by the way, what's really interesting about this criticism, Avi, is that it's the same criticism that the Israelis had. When recently I was looking at Haaretz, one of the Israeli newspapers.
Let's just be fair, guys. Haaretz is not very Israeli. They are.
And that's your position as a right wing, but it's a left-wing paper, right?
A very far left-wing paper.
No problem, but it is a paper in Israel.
Self-hating Jews.
No problem. But they were talking about something interesting. There was
to you.
Okay, maybe to me. Yes, it's subjective. I was wrong.
Let's hear it.
What I was going to say is that the scholarly class, because the clerics referred to as the Shahs in Israel, yeah? A lot of them in parliament, in the Knesset, they refer to as Shahs. But outside, there's the scholarly class of Jewish people. They have been criticized by their own community for being exempt from the army.
Yep.
So, in fact, the Quranic criticism of the scholarly class of Jews is the same as the Israeli one. That you have a lot of knowledge, but you don't have any action. That you're not doing.
So can you explain to me why that hadith? Let's go back to the beginning. That hadith there doesn't differentiate the one where it talks about.
Yes.
And it's not, because I get the argument all the time that it's historic.
No, it's not historic.
That one is in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
So we need to get rid of that.
No, we don't need to get rid of that, because what this hadith is telling us in explicit terms is that there will be a war between Muslims and Jews. By the way, to be fair and clear, at that particular time, yes, and this is an apocalyptic hadith. It's talking about in the end of times. It's talking about in the day of judgment. That there will be a war between Muslims and Jews, or some Muslims and some Jews, and then the tree will talk.
No, it doesn't say some. It doesn't say some.
No, I'll tell you what it says in the hadith. It says that there's a tree called the gharqad, which is a tree. It will become animate. It's an inanimate creature which will become animate, and it will help and facilitate and guide Muslims to be able to destroy their Jewish enemy. That's all it is. At that particular time, in the apocalyptic period, not in. This is not a hadith.
That's all it is. That's all it is. You're good now. We're not trying to kill you now, just in the future.
Referencing, yes, like you said, a past event. I agree.
So what do you think? You don't think we should get rid of that hadith that talks about killing Jews?
Let me ask you a question, right? Yes, I don't, and I'll be completely honest with you. I'm a traditionalist. I'm a scripturalist, which means fundamentally that I believe in the Quran and then I believe in the authentic Sunnah. So you would never catch me saying that we can get rid of any authentic hadith. Just to be completely honest. But then I'll ask you a question. You know, Deuteronomy chapter 13, verses 6 to 10. It says if you have someone in your home that وَإِذَا أَغْوَاكَ, I'm saying it in Arabic because but it says here, let me just tell you, if your brother or your son or your daughter or your friend or your wife, if they entrust you with something, yes, and they tell you نَعْبُدُ آلِهَةً أُخْرَى, we will worship other gods, yes, then kill them and stone them in their own homes. Now this is in the Bible, the Torah.
I condemn it.
Do you want to get rid of it?
I say we should get rid of it.
Okay, fantastic. Now go. I want you to, perfect. He said sorry. He said he condemns it.
If it's in the Torah.
Yes.
If it's in the Torah.
Yes.
Get rid of it. And
I'm
anybody
very
that
happy.
believes it should be.
Job complete. You know why? Because for the first time, I think in history in your life, you've condemned a different scripture. I'm very happy that now you've looked at.
I condemn Nazism.
No. I'm talking about scriptures. In the same, with the same. Avi, listen to me. Avi, perfect. With the same vigor that you have against talking about the Quran and the Hadith, because of its what you would refer to as violent verses, and we wouldn't disagree. There are violent verses in the Quran. I want you to use that same standard in condemning the Bible and the Old Testament.
No, but
isn't that fair? Isn't that fair?
No, it's not fair.
No, but he's an atheist.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's not fair.
Yeah, go on.
Because you don't see Jews killing Jews or Jews killing Muslims in the name of the Torah. You don't see it is just Muslims targeting Jews. Anytime there's a jihadi attack around the world,
okay, now it's going
to tend to target, and then they get the Jews on the side.
Avi, thank you.
Bonus.
I see what you're saying, Avi. I appreciate where you're coming from. There's two important problems. One,
checkmate. Checkmate right there by Avi. Yeah. At the end of the day, you can have a million scriptures. People will spread Talmudic quotes. Oh, look, it says in the Talmud, this, that, whatever. 90% of the time, it's just misquoted and mistranslated and misinterpreted. But even if true, even if there are some verses that people wouldn't agree with in the West or in today's modern society, do you see Jews going and blowing up buses? Do you see Jews charging at Muslims and opening fire at a mosque in the middle of Michigan, in Dearborn, Michigan? It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And therefore, this whole idea of, oh, Talmudic quote here, or, oh, it says this in Deuteronomy. None of that matters because people don't act on it. That's the important part, and that's what people are missing. Great point there by Yemini. The debate sort of got sidetracked here as they sort of went in circles, and I felt like this was a good way to end it. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos and support us, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.